What's up, everyone? Bass here. Today I want to go over the conundrum that is the Green Bay Packers salary cap and pretty much everyone's or a lot of teams' issues this year going into the 2021 season, with the salary cap potentially being at 175 due to the lost revenue through COVID. There's rumors that could go up to 182, maybe even 185 if you're lucky, but the Packers are in the bottom five right now in terms of cap space. So if you can see here, these are all the teams with the cap space. Jaguars with the most. They're pretty well off considering they're going to get Trevor Lawrence and then go from there. But if you go down, the Packers are actually sixth here with negative 28 or negative 31 effective. I think it's a little more than that. I don't know if this website's predicting it's going to be 182, but I think right now it's safe to say it might be 175. But we just gotta pretty much wait and see what happens. But at least we're not the Saints, because the Saints are pretty much fucked. The Saints have negative 112 right now, and I know Drew Brees is gonna retire, but you have a lot of guys that they're gonna have to either restructure, cut, trade, whatever. But they're really in the hole there. Their franchise is gonna be messed up for a while now. Just the hole they put them in. So whenever you're thinking sign free agents, and sign high-end free agents to a lot of money, look at the Saints, because that's what happened. So going back over to the Packers roster here, obviously if we actually check on the free agents first, you have guys remaining like Corey Linsley, Big Dog, Kevin King, which seems like no one wants him back anymore. Lane Taylor, which a lot of people forgot. You have Montravius Adams, who actually played well before he got hurt. You have Tunyon, but he's a restricted free agent. Lancaster is a restricted free agent. Shannon Sullivan's restricted. Jamal Williams is a free agent. Alan Lazard's a exclusive rights free agent. And of course you have Aaron Jones and a few others down there, just depth practice squad players. So when you go to the Packers roster here, they're going to have to do a lot of stuff in order to make this team above the cap, considering you have to have room for the draft, potentially signing free agents for depth reasons and whatnot. So there's going to be a lot of changes to this team, and basically today I just want to go over a fair estimate of what they might do. Now, all these numbers aren't exact. This is just going to be pretty much a broad definition of this Packers offseason, what I think is the best way to get them above the cap and the best way to continue to build this team and make sure they're still competitive, because there's going to be a lot of turnaround on this team and on a lot of teams in the NFL. It's going to be a really, really weird offseason, and you just got to be ready for that. So first you have Aaron Rodgers. So the general consensus is he'd be restructured. So at a max amount, you'd save roughly $14.5 million. If you don't know, in a restructure, a team converts some of a player's non-guaranteed base salary or bonuses into a guaranteed signing bonus, of which is prorated through the remaining years of the player's contract. Restructuring is a common maneuver to gain room for the current cap at the cost of adding liabilities against future cap. So I don't know if they're going to do the full amount or if at all, because obviously they drafted Jordan Love. Obviously they don't think Aaron Rodgers, he's definitely going to be our quarterback in 2021, but there is an opportunity for them to move on in 2022. But in order to get above the cap, I feel like this is kind of a need. I just think it depends on how much they're going to move his bonus. So if you went into the restructure here, the maximum is $13.6 million. So just for, logistically, I'm just going to put it to 10. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with him or if they're going to restructure him at all. So I'm just going to do that just to be safe. So then you're up to negative 15. Next, I'm going to go through some of the cuts. I think we all know Preston Smith is going to be cut, and that should be a post-June 1st designation, which would save them roughly $8 million. So if you cut Preston Smith there, so you're already getting closer to zero, which is good. As for Christian Kirksey, I said it in my past videos. He's played really well these past 4 weeks, and he actually was the highest graded defender in the NFC Championship. Not that it mattered, but I just think he's too little too late. And when you have guys like Chris Barnes and Kamal Martin, who are going to be paid a lot less and have higher upside, I just don't see keeping around Christian Kirksey, especially when you can save $4.6 million in such a dire situation. So, me personally, I think he's going to be cut. So in terms of other guys getting cut, I think either Dean Lowry or Rick Wagner or both. Rick Wagner would save you roughly, what is that? 2.5 million. So nothing crazy there. I think Dean Lowry would be more of the cut with a post June 1st designation, which would, save you 3.3. Personally, I think Dean Lowry has played nowhere near the level of his contract. If you look at his contract, what he signed, contract value of 20 million, 6.7 a year back in, 2019. So if you look forward, for 2021, his cap at 6.3, and then for 2022, 7.3. I just don't see that happening. I think he's definitely cut, if at minimum after this year, but I feel like he could definitely also be cut this year because, like I said, the cap's such a weird situation. So I'm going to be cutting him here, but keeping Rick Wagner because he's proved to be a really solid depth tackle, and we don't really know what's the status of David Bakhtiari when it comes to the start of next season. If he's going to start on the PUP, you're not sure. Obviously, Billy Turner can play left tackle. He didn't play good, and fair enough, Rick Wagner didn't play good. The whole offensive line pretty much didn't play good in the NFC Championship game, but, outside of that game, Ricky Wagner played good at right tackle. Billy Turner filled in at left, so I don't justify saving that little amount of money for such a good, solid lineman there. So I say they keep Ricky. Moving on to David Bakhtiari, which obviously we just, re-signed to a really big deal. He's only 29, so honestly, restructuring him, I don't see that as being that dangerous because he's signed through 2024, which would make him, 33, about, 32, 33. So I don't see us moving on from him until then, and he's still going to be, one of the greater tackles in the league. Andrew Whitworth's great, and I think he's 37, 38, and he's still playing at a very high level. So my next move would probably be restructuring and moving some of the base salary or bonuses into a guaranteed signing bonus. So that would save you roughly 8.8. And remember, these aren't exact numbers, but that would basically be moving the roster bonus. And then from there, now we're 15 million above the cap. So we're starting to get to a point where you can maybe retain, one of your guys, whether it be Corey Linsley or Aaron Jones. I'm not really sure on the Aaron Jones thing. There was rumors that they offered him top 5 money, and I think this was before he hired his new agent, Rosenhaus, I believe. I don't agree with paying a running back top 5 money. I just don't see where it really works out. There's situations where it has, but if you go to the running backs here, obviously you're paying Chris McCaffrey, they kind of were forced into that. It's just 16 million. I'd say Alvin Kamara is a little over the money for 15 million. Ezekiel Elliott's definitely over for 15. I don't even know why David Johnson's up here at 13. Dalvin Cook at 12.6. You can kind of start getting behind that. Derrick Henry, you can definitely get behind that for 12.5 if these are players that pretty much carry your offense. But at the end of the day, the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, so it's kind of hard to justify paying a running back that much money. Joe Mixon at 12's too high, and he just got that deal. So, you're looking, if they're giving Aaron Jones top 5 money or offered him top 5 money, they didn't offer him a lot of guaranteed because, that's just also a bad move in terms of running backs because running backs die so quickly in this league. So if you're offering him top 5, you're offering more than 12.6. You're offering him the same amount as Dalvin Cook, and I just can't get behind that. Aaron Jones is a great player. He probably played one of his worst games in the NFC Championship, but he also got injured. But I just can't advocate paying him that money. I would rather use the saved money to re-sign Corey Linsley. He was the best center in the league. I think the offensive line is really good with him, so a 2 to 3 year deal for him I think would be ideal. So with the centers, if you gave Corey Linsley a 2 to 3 year deal, you're probably going to end up using that same amount. So you can either pay 11, 12 million a year for Aaron Jones or Corey Linsley. It's pretty much which one are you going to do? And the Packers can get away with doing neither if they decide to. Not that I want it to happen, but Elton Jenkins can play center. I think the better move would be putting Lucas Patrick there and then possibly John Runyon Jr. playing right guard and then in an ideal world, Bakhtiari would be back and Billy Turner would play right tackle. But if that doesn't happen and Bakhtiari has to sit out some, Billy can play left and Ricky Wagner can play right if they don't cut him, which I don't think they would. So, this is kind of like a 50-50 for me if they want to spend the $12 million on Corey Linsley. So right now I'm just going to hold off on it. So another option to save even more money would be restructuring Za'Darius Smith. If you look at his contract here, he's signed through 2022, and his cap number goes up, a decent bit from last year. It goes up about a little less than $5 million there, up to $22 million cap hit, and then it drops back down for 2022. He's 27. I see him easily playing through this contract, so I don't see a big issue with restructuring him. If you look at the cap rooms for the future years, and this is all going to be based on the fact that it will go up and, things will go back to normal and fans will be in stadiums, but, we'll have a lot of room in 2022. So I see them restructuring him to save $7.7 million. Like I said, I think he's going to stay with the team throughout the rest of his deal, so this is just kind of pushing it back, and rightfully so, because this year is really messed up. So we do that, and then we're up to positive $22 million over the cap. And of course you have to save, $5 to $8 million roughly for rookies. Alright, so now the Packers are $22 million over the cap, so they're kind of in a good standing here. So firstly, let's go through the restricted free agents. Obviously, the most important here is Robert Tonyan. He's going to get an RFA tender, and I believe they're probably going to put a second-round tender on him. So if they put a second-round tender on Bobby here, they have the right to match any offer sheet that another team gives him, and they can either pay that amount to Tonyan for an extension, or if they just said, okay, that team offered him that contract, we're going to let him go, the team that offered him that contract has to send the Packers a second-round draft choice. I think second's a good spot for him. I don't see putting a first-round tender on Tonyan. I don't think anyone, which you could do that to pretty much lock him down, but I don't think anyone would, sign him to, decent big money and also give up a second round. So I'm going to do that, and that's going to take, a little bit off the cap. And the next, restricted, I've done that twice now. Restricted free agent is Tyler Lancaster. Original round tender, that's going to, take $2.2 million. Not really much to go off of that. It's just a body on the defensive line. Plays decent. Doesn't really wow you, but the Packers do need some bodies down there. You can never have enough big guys. Next on the restricted free agent list, we have Raven Green. I see them putting an original round tender on him. I don't see anyone really going after him. He's hurt a lot. He does offer a decent, a good amount of depth for the Packers, and at times he's a really good dime backer, nickel backer. So I see them putting him on there. That's not bad for $2.2 million. Same with Lancaster. These are just depth guys you're going to need this year, because the middle ground contract is going to die this year. So there's going to be high paid guys and then vet minimums. The middle ground is going to go away because of the weird cap situation we're in. So then for exclusive rights free agents, obviously Lazard's going to stay with a tender there. That's only going to hit $850,000 against your cap, and as well as Chandon Sullivan, which again, $850,000. Those are no-brainers. You're 100% doing that. So that's that. And the last two for exclusive rights, I see they do it with Randy Ramsey for $780,000. He played some defensive snaps this year. He's a decent edge rusher, kind of just, a solid depth guy there. And then as well with Nijman here, I would do it for him as well, because, like I said, you don't know the status of Bakhtiari, like I said, and obviously we have the draft coming up, so this could change. But as of right now, I'd tender him. So one thing that could happen if you don't trust John Runyon, say if Corey Linsley isn't brought back and you don't trust John Runyon yet at guard, a lot of people, like I said, forgot about Lane Taylor, and he didn't have that big of a deal. So before he tore his ACL, his cap hit was only $2.4 million for 2020. And again, he's 31, so he's turning 32. But I could see them adding him at a vet minimum, another one-year deal. I don't see where they would lose doing that. I think it's maybe a little bit of bonus, just, workout bonus, maybe some incentive-based contract, but I don't see where that would be a bad idea. I think Lane Taylor's a jack-of-all-trades lineman, just like Elton Jenkins is, just like Billy Turner is, and those guys, you need those guys, especially in a pinch. So I could see them bringing him in, especially if they decide to cut Ricky Wagner. I feel Lane Taylor's a really good value signing at this rate. Once we re-sign Lane Taylor to a one-year deal, base salary of $1,750,000, I'm sorry, $1,075,000, and then a roster bonus of $500,000, his cap number would be 1.57, which, like I said, I think that's great value for him. Then going down the list here, a guy that pops out is Devin Funchess. I thought highly of him. Obviously, it didn't work out with him opting out for the COVID precaution, and they already paid his bonuses. So in terms of cutting him, they actually don't have any projected dead money, I'm pretty sure. So they would just save the 1.265. So it says here that they would get dead money, but I'm pretty sure they already paid their bonuses to him for the year that just happened, because technically he was rostered, but he had the opt-out designation. But I see them cutting him and probably drafting a receiver in the middle rounds. He's 26, so he's not old, but he's not young, and he's never really held up to his potential being a second-round draft choice. I mean, it really depends what the Packers want. I just don't see him being on the roster come 2021. And then down here, you have all the practice squad guys. I'm not going to touch them because they're mainly going to stay on the practice squad. So to go down here, and then obviously there's the diamond and the rough in terms of the people around him and Chris Barnes. No disrespect to the GOAT Dominique Daphne here, but I'm not going to touch those because, like I said, they're probably going to fill out most of the Packers practice squad next year, that and some rookies. So at this rate, what you have left is Corey Linsley, Mercedes Lewis, Kevin King. These are in terms of, priority guys. Even Tyler Ervin, because if you lose Jamal and Aaron, you're definitely going to have to draft a back. A.J. Dillon's going to be your starting running back. Maybe you draft a guy, maybe you re-sign Irvin, or maybe even re-sign Jamal if he's willing to, accept a team-friendly deal there. Montravius Adams, I think, is a possibility for an extension. Now, those numbers I'm not sure about. I'm pretty sure it would be a one-year deal, but I'm not entirely sure, so I'm not gonna input that right now. But I'm on the side of saying it would be a good idea to re-sign him. And then down here you have Tim Boyle. I just don't see the point. You drafted Jordan Love, so it's, why don't you let him be backup and play most of the preseason snaps? Tim Boyle's a great dude, but you don't draft a first-round quarterback to be third string inactive for 3 years. You just don't. And then of course you have Jake Hansen, who's they drafted as a center. You'd probably put him under this as well. It's cheap. We don't really know what we have in him since he was hurt, but potential future center guy, especially if Corey Linsley walks. You don't know. I think it's worth giving him that tender. So then at that rate, you have $10 million left. That's enough for the rookie class. The Packers are scheduled to get a few compensatory picks, which is good for Blake Martinez. The comp picks being a 4th for Martinez, a 5th for Brian Bulaga, Iowa, and a 6th for Kyler Fackrell. So they're getting, they have a decent amount of draft choices this year. I think they're going to want to keep most of them. Obviously, they might trade around, but generally speaking, this is, to me, the likely scenario for the Packers. So just to recap, you restructure to an extent Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't say the full amount. So Za'Darius Smith and Bakhtiari, I see them playing both through their contracts fully, so I don't see a problem restructuring those guys. You're cutting Preston Smith. You're cutting Christian Kirksey, you're cutting Dean Lowry, you're cutting Devin Funchess, and then you're signing Tunyon to a second-round tender, Lancaster to a tender, Raven Green to a tender, Lazard and Sullivan are exclusive rights, as well as Ramsey and Nijman. You're re-signing Lane Taylor to a pretty much vet minimum deal there, and then also an exclusive rights free agent tender for Jake Hansen there. So at that rate, that's pretty much, like I said, the best case. Like I feel like this is going to be pretty close to what happens. I know a lot of people don't want to see players like these, like Big Dog go. So, personally, if it's a vet minimum, I could see them bringing back Big Dog if he wants to come back, especially the friendship he has with Aaron. Not that Aaron Rodgers ever has a say of who leaves and goes, who goes and comes back. So, it's a weird situation wherein, like I said, it's just going to be a very odd offseason. And I just wanted to go over briefly of some of the things they could do to kind of give you a better understanding of, the weird, like I said, conundrum that they're in. On that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, go Pack Go. Ready for the offseason.